Hello and welcome. I'm Charles Aitib. We have seen the showdown in Parliament last night amid fisticuffs, all because both sides of the House failed to reach a consensus on the certificate of urgency for the controversial 1.75% electronic levy that government seeks to implement. So far, Parliament has adjourned sitting until January 18 next year. But what this means is that the revenue target for this controversial bill will not be reached in the time being. Aside from this controversy, there are deep concerns over the signals that this development sends to Ghana's investor community. Well, joining us to discuss is the Center Coordinator for CART International, Apia Kusi Edumako. We're grateful that you could join us, sir. Of course, on a very, awkward moment as this, as you can see on your screen, international, policy. I mean, your mandate as CART International is to develop competitive policy and development programs. To what extent is the country risking its attractiveness to foreign investment amid standoffs of this nature?
Yeah, I think the last night's standoff is also part of our democratic governance. If we've seen over the years in some countries where this standoff tends to become a regular feature. Last night it was so because of the very thin line bordering the two sides of Parliament. I mean, both sides separated by just a single MP, and so you are more likely to see this thing happening. But I think that the way we resolve it determines how we can move forward. Even in America, we saw what happened in January 6th, where people stormed the Capitol Hill. But then what happened is, how does the rule of law in this country, how does parliamentary procedure tend to resolve some of these things? And that shows how mature we are. I mean, one Chinese philosopher said that it doesn't matter the number of times you fall down, but the number of times you pick yourself up when you fall down. So some of these things will continue to be part of our democracy that prevent it from not happening. I mean, should be the something that we should be looking at.
Great, but when we're looking at the numbers regarding standoffs once again, we're talking of the 1.75% electronic levy, which of course has seen its back and forth since government introduced it on the floor of Parliament. With this particular levy lie the burden of revenue mobilization in excess of over 300 billion Ghana cedis for next year. Government says it needs this money so much to embark on specific developmental projects. Investors are going to be looking at the numbers to decide for themselves which areas to spread their capital, thin. Having, situated what's happening on the floor of Parliament, once again regarding the need, the standoff between both sides to reach an agreement on specific matters of revenue mobilization, it will impact our target, and therefore it will send negative signals to investors there who are also looking at the numbers to inform their decisions. How do we balance the risks involved in this?
Okay, so if government is not able to get this levy through, that's going to be a big blow to government and to everybody, because that will create a huge gap between expenditure and revenue. And that will mean government having to withdraw some of social services. And that could also become very, very bad for the economy. And you see, the thing is that getting this one through is not necessarily an NPP success, but rather it's a success for Ghana. If the levy doesn't go through, and in 2024, any new government that comes after the will have to come and confront with this albatross. So what is more important is that both sides need to meet and resolve this thing amicably, because if government MPP is able to get this one through, I'm not sure after 2024 election, whoever comes will withdraw it because they oppose it. I mean, I saw the money doesn't go to politicians' pockets, it goes into the public purse to resolve and help in our democratic and developmental needs. So I think for me, we need to be able to resolve these issues amicably. Now, how do we ensure that this thing doesn't affect investor confidence? In the short term, this can even affect how our CD performs. We are looking for the close of business today, how the CD would react to what happened in Parliament last night. And that is the short term. But I'm very confident that between now and January 7th, this issue will be resolved because Parliament has its leadership. Both minority and majority can sit down and chart a workable solution among this issue.
Of course, you deal with competitive policies and you also engage the business community on how best they can remain competitive in the SAP region and even globally. We have also spoken to some of these, businessmen and women, entrepreneurs for that nature, and they're raising concerns about the e-levy, saying that it could really, offset attractiveness to electronic platform usage in the country, and of course, entrepreneurs within this eco space as well. From where you sit, what particular risk does the e-levy pose aside its, attractiveness to revenue mobilization?
Okay, so the e-levy is helping government to get revenue to resolve its fiscal challenges. And also on the demands, on the supply side, those who are paying it also has a lot of issues on them. Because whenever you are transferring money from one point to another, government takes 1.75 plus what the platform users would also charge. So it's going to have effect on doing business in the country. But for me, what is more important is how do we ensure that this new levy that government has brought will not impact heavily on private sector and Ghanaians. And I think the best approach is government to bring the figure even below 1% and then maybe gradually increase it. But starting it at 1.75 for us is very huge. And 1.75, anybody that we talk to will say that it is not the best because it is also going to allow some businesses that are into exporting and imports to keep their imports, their foreign exchange in an offshore account, so that anytime they want to make a transfer, they transfer the money there and then they receive all their inflow in that offshore account. And that alone can also affect the city's performance. And so I think the door for discussion is still not complete. And I don't see why government is also in a hurry too much to be able to get this one through without the broader consultation, without the broader cost-benefit analysis on the very 1.75 threshold that the figure is looking at.
Indeed, we're grateful for your analysis there. Here's, with the CAT International, the center coordinator at that, helping us with his submission on development in Parliament and its signals to the investor community.